was good enough to give it a go yesterday, but the Browns apparently weren't. Is it time to panic after losing to the Steelers? And Mac Jones and the Patriots picking up a wild win out west. Good Monday morning, everyone. Welcome to First Things First.
Who's back?
You see that? Jenna Wolf, Nick Wright, Chris Broussard, and the guy gloating down in your bottom right, maybe it's bottom left, still haven't figured it out. It's only been 2 years. Kevin Wilds, your Patriots clearly en route to the playoffs, just the way you picked it on Friday. When you picked it, you did it, buddy. Oh, no, you didn't pick it.
He picked the
Eagles.
No,
you didn't pick it. That's right.
He picked Detroit. Yeah, he picked Detroit.
I picked Detroit.
Go. Say words.
I haven't watched that game yet. We're going to fill you in if my pick of Detroit getting their first win came true or not. I've still haven't watched that one. I was too busy focused on the Patriots.
It was close, Wilds. We're going to have to check the final score on that.
Wasn't great.
There were a bunch of draw droppers, though, that Eagles game notwithstanding yesterday. Big upsets, little upsets. We'll start with Bucs at Saints. Now, the Saints lost Jameis Winston early. Hated to see this. Injured his knee on this play right here. He had to be carted off. Coach Sean Payton would say after the game, it was a significant injury. He said it potentially could end Jameis' season. So Trevor Siemian was in at quarterback because Taysom Hill's still out with a concussion. So big advantage Bucs, right? No, not right. Very wrong, actually. Let's fast forward. Minute and a half left in the game. Saints up 2. Tom Brady to P.J. Williams. He doesn't play for the Bucs. The interception to seal the upset, and the Saints go marching on in the NFC South, beating Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Nick, you surprised Brady and the Bucs couldn't get a win against the Saints after Jameis left with that knee injury? Look what's happening.
Well, I was surprised, but I shouldn't have been. And a terrible job by me handicapping this game, because we had plenty of evidence that if there is one defense that has given Brady trouble since he's gone to Tampa, it's the one he was facing yesterday. Last year, he played 2 of his 3 worst games of the year against the Saints in the regular season. And then we're like, well, he beat him in the playoffs. Yes, but he threw for under 200 yards in that game. That was a game the Saints had control of until they turned the ball over on 3 out of their 4 final possessions to give that game away. For one reason or another, this Saints defense, which I have to give it credit, I underrated it going into the year. I thought it would be good, not good enough to carry them. It has been good enough to carry them. This Saints defense causes Tom Brady massive problems, and we have now seen it in every regular season game they've played, and you could argue in the playoff game as well. And so a terrible job by me. It was, of course, a somewhat worse job by Broussard, who had 2 MVP picks going into the year. One of them got hurt and is done for the season possibly. The other one, Tom Brady, gave the game away. And Broussard, you had been pushing the committee to put Tampa at the top of the tiers. And I do think, even though I don't want to overreact to one game, but when you look at Tampa's schedule, they've played 4 awful teams. They blew them all out. The Eagles, they only won by 6, but they were kind of blowing them out. They have against bad teams, Tampa's great. They've played 1 mediocre team, New England. They played them to the final minute. They've played 3 good teams. Dallas, who they beat in the final seconds, and then the Saints, who I have to call a good team right now, and the Rams, both of whom beat them by multiple scores. And so I do think for Tampa, this is a significant loss when it comes to getting the 1 seed, especially with Dallas stealing a victory with their backup quarterback. And it's a significant loss psychologically because Tampa knows that beating up on the bad teams in the league doesn't do much for them. But the types of teams they're going to have to play in the postseason, Broussard, they haven't looked great against, and the defense has given up 30-plus points a game against.
Well, Nick, in hindsight, it's good that they won't be atop the tiers. We know that the top of the tiers has been a rough sledding. Kansas City, Baltimore, Arizona. And we know
Right.
we know who's going to be atop the tiers. There's only one possibility this week, so we'll save that for another time. But of course I'm surprised. And you mentioned how Tampa Bay has given Brady some trouble. New Orleans has given Brady some trouble. They've also given Todd Bowles' defense some trouble because you went over Brady's stats. Four teams in the last 2 seasons have scored 34 or more points against Tampa Bay. And 3 of them have happened against New Orleans. So really 2 teams have done it, but 3 of the 4 games it's happened in have been against the Saints. So there's something about them that gives Tampa Bay trouble. But overall, I'm not concerned at all. Yes, I was surprised. You're always surprised when Tom Brady plays poorly. And he still had 4 touchdowns and almost 400 yards passing. But clearly his turnovers, the 2 interceptions, the pick 6, the fumble, cost them the game. All right, it's a division opponent that had beaten him twice last year with a backup quarterback playing. So, yes, you would have thought that Tampa Bay would have came in not being flat. They were flat from the get-go. Even before Jameis got hurt, you could say, oh, they took Simeon lightly. No, I thought they were flat the whole day. So that was surprising. But, Nick, and I'm not trying to be funny, I think this was a good loss for them because they entered the game, and they are today the team that leads the league in penalty yards. And yes, the turnovers cost them, but the penalties cost them more, maybe more than the turnovers. 11 for 99 yards yesterday. They gave up 6 first downs to New Orleans on penalties. And the last drive, really the game-winning drive for New Orleans, they had stopped them on 3rd and 5. Tampa Bay had stopped them, but a defensive holding penalty kept the drive going, and obviously New Orleans scores and wins the game. So last year they started the season horribly in penalties, led the league through the first 4 weeks, and over the last 3 months they were the least penalized team in the NFL after focusing on it. So I think, Wilds, this game will cause Tampa Bay, which maybe got a little cocky, to look in the mirror and say, all right, we've got to fix this. Our defense isn't as good as we thought it was over the last few weeks. We got to fix it. I think it was good ultimately, Wilds.
I agree. Don't forget, they had that interception nullified. They had back-to-back roughing the passer penalties, really dumb penalties. So I agree with you, Broussard. I think it was a good loss for Brady and a good loss for the Bucs. I think he was getting too cocky. He's had 15 touchdowns the last 4 games. He had 5 touchdowns against the Dolphins. He was openly whining to Jim Gray about not scoring 50 points on the Bears. And, Nick, you've been big on the Bucs schedule if we want to throw it up again. Their next 4 weeks after this bye, pretty simple, right? You've got Washington, the Giants, the Falcons, and the Colts. Those teams are a combined 10-20, soon to be 11-20. Quick correction, soon to be 11-20 after the Giants take care of the Chiefs now. Now, I know people are saying, like, no, this is the Rocky moment. This is the champ can be cut. Like, I guess you had Gronk out there just for a few minutes. You had no AB. You had Richard Sherman out for a few minutes. Like, once the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at full strength, I think they're going to be at full strength again. I think this was not a cause for concern. I actually think it's the opposite. I think it's good for Brady and the Bucs.
Okay, I understand that just like interceptions that Tom Brady throws aren't his fault. Chris Godwin, flatten that route out, buddy. That's not a bad pass by Brady. That's a terrible route by you.
In front of him.
Actually, it was a bad pass by Brady. Losses for Tom Brady and the Bucs are good things. I'm a simple man with simple ideas. That if you have a 44-year-old quarterback, you probably want to play as few games as possible, and you want as many of those games to be in warm weather as possible. The Bucs' path to the 1 seed in the bye and home field just got much more arduous. The swing between Tampa losing to Trevor Siemian and Dallas winning with Cooper Rush is a massive swing because the Bucs' schedule is so soft the rest of the way. You don't have many losses that you're going to look to see. And people might be saying, why am I only talking about Dallas, not the Rams or the Packers, who also only have 1 loss? The Rams and the Packers have very difficult schedules the rest of the way. So I don't think those teams, even if they're very, very good teams, are going to be there for the 1 seed. I do think Dallas is very in play for the 1 seed. I think Tampa's very in play for the 1 seed. I think that is a big loss for them. And last point, Jenna, Wild said when they're fully healthy. I don't know if Gronk's going to be healthy. Like Gronk, that he missed time, came back, and then didn't finish the game is concerning if you consider him